Alright, got this carb set up in the lathe. Going to cut that ridge out and taper that ledge right there in a little more. Make it a little more gentle. And then I'm going to polish the outside and right here behind where that ridge is. Just going to smooth all that up. So we'll see how it goes. work on it just a little bit more, but still kind of like to get some of them scratches out. But you can see this, it don't take long. We'll get her all. I'll work on it a little bit more, and then I'll show it to you when I get it completely done. But that was most of it anyway. Alright, here it is, all done. Hadn't been washed yet, so this casting's got some pitting in it, as you can see, but it's, I mean, for a Chinese carburetor, that's pretty normal. It's not bad though. Got to thoroughly clean this thing now. I went ahead and lapped the flange side too. Got good contact on all the way across it. Just did that on a flat plate. Alright, just thought I'd show you that since I got it done. Now it'll be thoroughly cleaned and built. OEM kit. And we'll check everything out. Make sure everything's holding how it should. All that good stuff. These do have a brass seat in it, as you can see. You have to drive it out from this side if you want it out. Alright, be back for something else next. Alright, back for a little update here. I got the intake ready to stack back on and get everything situated. All these parts I hand scraped in, so you can see the lines on it. This has been epoxied to the cylinder, and the 3 screws are Loctited to shouldn't go anywhere. Here's the intermediate block. And then the main block. I didn't worry about the edges because I got good contact all the way to the point where the screws are. It'll be sealing in here. I'm going to epoxy that intermediate block onto this block. I could probably use sealer or something, it'd be fine, but it should never have to come off. I mean, I can't think of really any reason why it would, so I'm just going to epoxy the 2 pieces together and then Loctite the screws in. All these fasteners on these things need a Loctite on them. I learned that on the last one. Any fastener you put in, just go ahead and put Loctite on it, because it'll probably come out if you don't. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this all stacked up, and I'll bring you back whenever I have got it all put on the saw. Alright, back for a little update. It's all glued together. I cleaned most of it out, but it's still squishing some more out in there. That's alright though, because I'm going to go back in and clean all this up. You can see I put a gasket. Try to get the light to cooperate here. The gasket's just roughly cut out. You can see it's hanging over. So I'll go in and clean all that up. Put a paper gasket in there with sealer on it. And then I epoxied this to this and then Loctited the screws like I said I was going to. So I'll go in and clean all that up with a burr, clean all that out once it dries. I think I said before this. Here's the sealer I use. Seems to be some pretty good stuff. I got the piston stuck back on the saw. And I want to show you this. This was not my idea. I'm going to claim it. But you can see what I did here. I needed this ring to be pinned in the center. Needed the ring ends to be in the center of this piston. And the pins over here. I thought about repinning it, but I really didn't want to. Because of the fears of the pin rattling out at 20,000 RPM. Didn't really appeal to me. So I did not repin it. But I did notch the ring here. Dino Joe actually kind of turned me on to this. He said, just notch the ring. Well, it wasn't his idea, but he had seen it before on some race saws, and I was like, well, that'd be perfect. As you can see, when it's all seated, everything's squeezed together, it's pretty well bang on in the middle. So that should work. That should work good. But anyway, I'm fixing to stick the head down on this, I think. Stick the cylinder down on it. I got this gasket. This is a 55 gasket. Set it down here. It's a little bit different than the original gasket. Here's the original one. You can see the cutouts for the transfers are smaller. They're just shaped a little bit different. I don't know if that's a difference in the case or what, but I think I might just get my wife to cut me out some gaskets like this. I'll scan this and get it cut out. She already cut me some carb gaskets because they weren't the size that I wanted. And actually I had another carb and it had the right size gasket in it. This is the gasket that I wanted. Come with one of the carbs, and this is the gasket that come with the other one. Quite a bit of difference. And then here's the ones that she cut for me. They are basically the same as we just scanned this one and then shrank the inside diameter down. But this gasket's basically the same as that one. So anyway, look at the carb pile over here. I got several of these carbs. I'll just keep. This last one I got was a little bit different though. See, this one's got plastic inserts in around the bolt holes. This one does not. This one came in a different box than the other ones that I've gotten too, so I don't know if they're changing, but I mean otherwise it looks exactly the same. I don't know. Oh, got a couple of future projects sitting over here. Came in. We'll get to those one of these years. Do something fun with them, hopefully. But anyway, we'll update. Probably the next time you see it, it'll be completed together, and we'll be leak checking it. I'll grab a little shot of leak checking it in a tank of water. Make sure everything's sealed up. Alright, see you back shortly. Alright, here's the real test. I have already checked this, and as far as the saw goes, is good. I have a leak between the carb and the intake block on my rubber, and you'll see it here in a second. And the reason why you want to put these things in water is because you can catch any leak at all. This thing, testing it dry, didn't really show up. You know, the needle stayed pretty solid, but you stick it in this water, and luckily this leak here is, you know, I'm gonna have a gasket in there between the carb and the block, so I'm not worried about that. What I'm concerned about is the head, the base gasket, the intake block to the cylinder, and all that, and the seals and everything. So, and all that appears to be good. But I'll pump this thing up here, and you'll start seeing bubbles come out from underneath the carb on the left side. I picked it up and looked and made sure that it wasn't the intake block, and it's just sliding out between the rubber and the intake block, so I'm not worried about that at all. Everything else is holding good. No other bubbles anyway. All good. Alright, figured I'd just show you all that. I'm gonna yank this thing out of here and dry it off and mush on, put it together. Alright, here it is, all together. Ready to fuel it up, fire it. Got all the lines ran. Original plug wire was long enough. I still have to cut the cover. I have not fit the top cover yet, but we'll worry about that after it's all running and everything. That is what I believe to be a 357, 359 clutch. It was sold as a 262 clutch, but they have the single spring that goes all the way around the outside. So I think this is a 357, 359. It was a 262 drum though. It had the dogs in the back of it to drive the oil pump. I had to grind those off because this thing's got a continuous oiler. And I had to shim it a little bit too to get the clutch depth right. But I think all that'll be fine. So I'm ready to fire it up. I still need to cut the top cover after that, and then gut the brake cover out. Take the handle and all that mess out of it, and the brake band and all that stuff. So still a little bit of work to be done yet, but it's ready to run. So the next video you'll see, this is the last of the build. The next video will be of it running. I'll have to get it fired up and tuned and everything, which sometimes turns into a long process depending on fueling mostly. See how the carb does and all that good stuff. This thing should look basically stock. Besides that, I'm going to have to cut the cover for the plug to stick through it. You'll see the plug boot sticking through the top cover. Other than that, I don't think you'll be able to tell that it's been modified otherwise. But anyway, this kind of wraps up the build series of it. I'm not going to record anything else, so hope y'all enjoyed this. And